It's an interesting time for business. Tariff and trade policies are dynamic, supply chains are squeezed, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you are in a little bit of hurt. So how do you get full visibility and adapt in real time? Over 42,000 businesses trust NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for a reason. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. Real-time forecasting helps you move into the future with confidence, and with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. Caleb, I had a dream last night.
Uh-oh.
It's not that kind of dream.
Okay, cool.
No, this is about my book.
Okay.
So a lot of you know that I recently published a book, Lean Learning, and there have been aspirations of hitting a list. And I had this dream that I hit the New York Times list. And it was so real that I cried and I was jumping up and down and I was like calling friends, letting them know. And then all of a sudden I woke up and it was not true.
Well, we don't know if it's true yet or not because the list doesn't come out till...
The New York Times list comes out later today. But first of all, I was like really upset this morning because I had felt the energy and then it was gone. But I went back to bed, had a different dream, woke up and then saw a buddy of mine sent me a message that I hit the USA Today list, which is a huge deal. Like it's thank you. So we were number 13 in all of US of all genres and all formats, above like several books that I know and, you know, from authors that I love and trust and admire. And to be number 13 is wild.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So we find out New York Times later. Even if we don't hit that, I'm so happy with the results because what this means is more people are getting access to it. It is hitting potentially more national spotlight. And I can always now forever say that I'm a national bestseller, which we can put on our stuff in future publications, on our courses, whatever. So that's pretty cool. And I think we wanted to come in today and have Caleb sort of lead a chat about the process from the outside, right? I had a podcast episode come out last week about just all the emotions behind what it was like because I was dead tired. I was just frustrated with a lot of the process, but now on the other end of it, very happy. But still, there's a lot to learn and I'd love for you to poke around and see what we could do to help people who might be listening to this.
Well, what I'm most curious about is you talked about the book writing process, working publisher, revisions, all of that sort of thing. I'm most interested in how to even try to sell enough books to get on these lists. Like what are the different things people are doing? I feel like it's a black box where you don't know how to sell that many books. You know, you can do the traditional things you can talk about on social media. You can email your list and try as many people as you can, but it's a hard sell to sell a physical book nowadays.
I mean, my big question was, do people even read anymore? You know? I mean, we have an audiobook, which helps, and we have a lot of audio listeners. But then at the same time, if you want to hit a list, then you have to drive toward the hardcover book, not the audio
physical
book.
Copies, not even Kindle.
No, not even Kindle. And so that was a little bit of a rub between myself and the publisher. Like I preferred and I wanted the audiobook to come out later so that people could get just the hardcover copy, which would give it the best chance to hit a list. But they were like, no. We don't do that.
Yeah.
Even though I did that and I proved it in my self-published books. So this is one of the things you lose control a little bit when you work with a publisher. But again, we were still able to do really well, but we could have maybe done better. Maybe this is the difference between hitting the New York Times or not. I don't know.
Or all those audiobooks that maybe someone wouldn't have bought if there wasn't available, help the USA Today list or something.
Right. True. And so as far as selling books, I mean, of course, email lists, sending that out, pitching it, selling it, talking about it again, social, like you said, but you know, including bonuses is key, having something that would give a person a reason to buy it now. So we had pre-order bonuses and different accountability groups that people could be a part of if they joined early enough. And depending on how many they bought, they could get access to different things. So we have like a Slack group for one level. We have like a Zoom check-in accountability group for learning different things that will happen across a couple months. So things like that were great. I have some workshops that were available just for people who picked up the book in time. And that helped a little bit. I saw numbers come in because people had to send in their receipt to sort of validate that. The podcast tour, I was on 50 different podcasts. And I mean, we've only sold thousands of books across millions of impressions. And that's just apparently the reality of it now. And when I even think about my own consumption behavior for stuff, it's mostly video. I'm not reading books as much, or if I'm hearing about a book, I typically find a summary on it that somebody else made that can help me download that much faster if I need it at that time.
Why aren't people buying books? And you don't buy books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking about this with somebody the other day, another entrepreneur who has sold millions of dollars worth of courses to tens of thousands of people. And she had also come out with a book recently. And she's like, we can do all this, but then we can't even push like a $20 book. Like it's just really hard.
Yeah.
And so this really speaks to just the change of the industry and the medium. I mean, I don't think books are going away, but it's getting hard.
Yeah.
So I don't know if somebody were to ask, like, is it worth writing a book? It depends. I think there's some prestige that comes with it, especially with a traditional publisher. And, you know, the shots of it in Barnes & Noble are really cool and are used for credibility. But I don't know. It's hard to answer that now, truly.
I mean, I think it puts you in a different echelon of people. It's always going to be like in your bios of like author of, and like it can help open doors for you. It's an excuse for you to reach out to be on podcasts to get your name out there as well.
That's true. So there's a bigger strategy that the book is just a part of. Yet this took 4 years ever since the proposal was made, and several edits and a lot of headaches and quite a bit of time. And again, weighing all those things against each other, it's like, well, could we have self-published something much quicker and get something out there, or use that energy elsewhere?
Yeah.
I don't know. And then would I work with a traditional publisher again? I'm not quite sure yet.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure yet, to be honest.
Yeah. And I think it probably felt like you were finishing a race to get to the launch date, but then there's like a whole nother race.
Yeah, I finished the marathon, and it's
which starts the like
I get to eat a banana and then like do another marathon.
Yeah.
Which it does feel like that. You know, this book in particular was written to have the possibility of going super wide. Right? It's not just for entrepreneurs. It's a much bigger genre of self-development and self-help. It talks about education. It's useful for really anybody, and that's the struggle. If you want it to be more wide-reaching, you have to be a little bit more general and less specific. But then the less specific you are, the harder it is for a person to know this is a book for them.
Yeah.
So the strategy for me is a long-term vision of seeing people start to get a hold of it, talk about it. And we had talked about the struggle of book selling. But then you see people like James Clear, who've been on the New York Times list for 300 weeks straight.
288 or something is what it said yesterday.
Mel Robbins and her book, you know, The Let Them Theory, is literally everywhere. I see this green book at Target and Walmart and at the airport and like everywhere I turn. And it's number one right now. And it has been for several weeks. So, I mean, people are buying books. How are people knowing what books to buy, though? It doesn't feel like it's from necessarily their favorite person telling them to go buy the book. I feel like it's because it just takes a cultural wave. Atomic Habits had hit a cultural wave where everybody was just talking about it in the office with each other, and then people were buying bulk copies for all their employees, and it didn't happen right away either, which is inspiring. I think in the research I did with James's book, he got on the list because he was a very prominent blogger and had a very loyal audience, hit the list, disappeared, but kept going with the podcast interviews and kept grinding, which is in the phase that I'm in now. I'm not going to stop. And then eventually came back and has not left since, took on this crazy cultural relevance.
Right.
So we'll see. This book has the possibility to do that. It was written so that it was so easy to read that anybody could read it and get value from it. And so we'll see what happens. But to hit a list like the USA Today, I'm very proud of that. I do have to recognize that. I do have to slow down before I speed back up again and just go, wow, like I did something really cool that not a lot of people can say. And I can always say now I'm a national best-selling author. Like actually, because my last best-selling book was a Wall Street Journal bestseller in an ebook format. So people could argue like, well, I mean, that's back in the Kindle heyday. And like, that's the only reason why, because there wasn't that much competition.
Yeah.
So it felt good. Running a business means legal questions are inevitable. Is this contract or agreement solid? What can I do if a client won't pay me? Am I set up properly for taxes? Well, rather than trying to navigate all this on your own or searching endlessly online, imagine having a law firm on your side without the high hourly rates. That's exactly what Legal Shield's small business plans offer. With Legal Shield, entrepreneurs get access to real legal support, contract reviews, collection letters, guidance on business formation, and even help handling IRS audits. Members can book consultations, upload documents through the app, and work with a provider law firm that understands small business laws in your state. You also get proactive help on tax and trademark questions so you can stay ahead of legal risks. And if a client delays payment, Legal Shield can send professional collection letters to help you recover what you're owed, all for a fraction of what traditional attorneys charge. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI. Still using a copy-paste website? Break the template trap with Framer. Whether you're overwhelmed by traditional site builders or frustrated with cookie-cutter designs, Framer gives you the freedom to create a site that's professional, polished, and uniquely yours. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. It's free to start, allowing you to browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something on your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, parallax scrolling, scroll animations, looping animations, and much more in seconds. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting, generating starter layouts, and can even translate your entire site to any language. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of pro on the house. That's framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply.
What other things did you do other than like the bundling and promoting it on your own and doing the podcast things? What are these unique bulk buys and how do you have to format those so that they don't hurt you on these lists?
Yeah, you can't just buy 10,000 of your own books.
Right. Take your whole advance.
Right.
Go to Amazon. Order thousands of them.
Yeah, they track apparently. And the New York Times is still very mysterious. There are people who sell loads of books who never get on there because of the category that they're in or just the political stance they have, honestly speaking. And there's a lot of things. Like it's very biased in many ways. You know, there's that. But to position yourself, from my understanding, and I have to give credit to where credit is due, Rory Vaden from Brand Builders Group is incredible. He's taught me so much about kind of how all this works and to best position myself in a legit way to make this happen. And so, you know, he has this term called BILFs, books in lieu of fee. So a strategy that we really went in with was, hey, event, like I'd love to speak at your event, whether they ask or I go and propose like, hey, I'd love to show up and speak at your event. Here's my normal speaking fee. However, I have a book coming out. So instead of paying me money for my fee, just buy this many books. And so to have different communities, different conventions, different events do that is great because you get your numbers up much bigger. However, if you have too big of bulk buys and too many of those and very little sort of organic individual sales, then it's just going to be like, okay, well, you just have connections who are buying these things for you, and that's it. So the sort of trick, if you will, is to collect the names and addresses for those individuals at those events. And this is a way that then those books can be distributed to all the retailers that need to be so that they count. Because if you have too many bulk buys, it's just not going to count. Here's the thing though, like I'm not going to name any conferences in particular, but let's say a conference bought 500 copies and there were a few that did. And then we go, okay, well, here's a form, have everybody, it's going to be free for them. So let's send them the form and they'll fill it out. Let's get 500 of them. You know, you have 5,000 attendees, like let's get 10%. 100 names would come in. Yeah. That's it. Nobody would fill it out.
For a free thing, yeah.
For a free thing. And it's like, I spoke to a lot of people and they say, this is how it is. Yeah. It's just a part of the game. So again, I think the launch strategy requires a lot of these things and a lot of the promotions. I also did like a really cool social lead up to it. The week before I got sick though, so I wasn't able to continue it, but I was doing basically 21 days straight of just a behind the scenes of the book launch leading up to the book launch. And there was the moment where I opened the book out of the box when I got to see it for the first time. And I put a little nod to Back to the Future there when George McFly got his book at the end of the movie. And I was like, this is my moment like George McFly. If you put your mind to it, you could do anything kind of thing. And then the moment where like I had a crash out, the moment where I got on certain podcasts and I got to share the behind the scenes and drive into LA and to see Sean Stevenson and how bad the traffic was and just kind of letting people in on the process. That worked really well for just touch points that weren't just selling.
Yeah.
And I think that brought the human aspect to the promotion. It brought how important this was. It was even less about the content in the book and more just like follow the journey with me.
Right.
And this was something that I learned when you and I worked together with the SwitchPod. That really sold the SwitchPod was, hey, for 14 months, we're going to show you how we invent this thing. And we're going to take you along for the ride. Yeah. And so that's what I did in a sort of contained period of time. And it seemed to work to get people to want to support, because I got direct messages from people saying, man, you worked so hard on this. Like, I want to support you.
Yeah. And it's like a smaller scale version of the guy that just sailed all the way to Hawaii. Like he quit his job, bought a sailboat, tried to figure out
Phoenix.
Yeah. And like people wanted to be along for the journey and they could celebrate when he made it finally.
Right.
And so
like they're rooting for him.
Yeah.
Right.
And so the more you can bring people along on that, I know it might be tough to do that depending on what your project is, but I do think that raw behind the scenes thing is something that, especially in this age of AI, is going to be so magnetic
100%.
for people to like gravitate towards, to want to see that, as opposed to like generic stuff that everyone's posting because they batch processed it through ChatGPT or something like that. It's like AI can't yet copy your story.
The storytelling is key, and I've said this multiple times in different podcast episodes and videos. That's going to be the number one skill in the future is storytelling. How you take the information that is freely available and wrap it around something that connects on an emotional level, that becomes relatable. And that's what I was doing. And I was getting those reps in, getting practice in. I've gotten a lot of reps from my other shorts channel with the Pokemon thing. So like I was familiar with the editing, which was great. From this point forward, though, I think short form video is going to be a very prominent strategy for me moving forward. I do want to lean into that a little bit more. Lean learning. Exactly. I mean, and create a specific container of time to focus on it, to give it the best shot, not just dabble in it, but really go deep. And part of the lean learning process is finding somebody else who's done these things before and kind of learning from them. And one of those people is Joseph Wynn, who wrote the book, Don't Believe Everything You Think, which is a really good sort of like self-reflection book about like what you believe is what happens and unlearning how to deal with the mental process of happiness and what you think is real out there, what people say about you. It's really good. Self-published initially. I met him in Tennessee and he talked about how TikTok was his number one strategy for getting his book out there.
And you were like, what?
I was like, yeah. I was like, wait, tell me more. And I mean, he has videos that he himself has published that are very simple. He's just flipping through the book and he's like, this book will undo 10 years of mental damage that you've done to yourself or something. Like a good hook.
Yeah.
But then it's like, wait, what? And then like literally 3.2 million views on a 10-second video. But the bigger strategy is he is selling books through TikTok Shop, mainly through affiliates who are talking about the book and getting like a little bit of commission from it.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is now you have these influencers on TikTok who have audiences, who have reach, who have their own versions of their own hooks, who are talking about this book and telling people to go and get it because they are incentivized, they get paid. But then this helps make more sales for Joseph. And now his book has been on the New York Times list for the last several weeks in a row at number 4, I think, this week, and largely driven through short form. And I know that most authors aren't thinking about that. So I want to get ahead on, and I want to learn about it and I'm going to dissect it and I'm going to share it with all of you later as I discover more and just kind of figure out how that works. But I feel like that's going to be a major part of the long-term game because, again, this book will help you undo how you've learned. And it's a very hooky titled book too. Yeah. It's like how to achieve more by learning less. Like you need to learn, like stop learning, which is very counterintuitive and I think provides for a great hook. So if I can utilize different creators in the way that they connect with their audiences and with the similar messages, I think it could have the potential to take off. This is the bet that I want to take. You can take all kinds of bets with whatever it is you want to do, meaning what strategies make sense for you. This is the one that I feel like might be the best bet with all the cards that I have in front of me.
What would you say to someone that's looking to be traditionally published versus self-publishing? You did the self-publishing for the first 3 books.
Yeah.
And then you decided to do traditional. Why did you decide traditional for this one? And what would you say to someone that is interested in?
2 reasons I went traditional with this one. Number 1, I just wanted to see what that process was like because I had done self-published, like you said, and everybody had been asking me, well, what's better? I didn't know. So I went through this process specifically just to experience that. And it's been definitely, like I said in the last episode, a learning process. And we'll go deeper later about literally the pros and cons in a more specific for author kind of video. But the second reason was because this book is a genre much larger than the one that I normally speak in, which is just for entrepreneurs. I felt, or I thought at least, that the distribution and the authority that came with a publisher like Simon & Schuster would help with the credibility in a space that I yet to have credibility. And I think that was a fair take. Is it panning out like I thought? I don't know. I think it's still
too early. Yeah.
But that's why now to the question, is it worth it? I think it depends on your goals. For me, I think it's worth it for the experiment and the learning and also for this reason, like I said, for the personal development space. However, I did get an advance, but even then, I don't know if it was worth the money that I got for it to go through the delay in how long this took, the lack of control on certain parts of the process, especially honestly, I didn't get back as much traditional marketing and PR that I thought I was going to get that I didn't have access to. Like I thought that there would at least be one Good Morning America type of situation, that there's been none of that. But at the same time, honestly, having a publisher say, hey, this is due on this date, like it got me going.
Yeah.
Maybe a book would have never happened if I didn't have that force function like I talk about in the book.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said for that as well. So it's not a clear line for myself or really anybody. There is prestige that comes with it, but I mean, Joseph Wynn's book was self-published, Miracle Morning, which has seen, 5 million book sales, never hit a list. It's changing lives, and he's making a lot of money. Hal Elrod, that was self-published.
Yeah.
The Coaching Habit by Michael Bungay Stanier, self-published, like hundreds of thousands of copies sold, if not millions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think you need traditionally published books anymore like you once needed before.
Yeah. But it could help open certain doors or help you meet certain people, or certain relationships could build out of it. Or as they see the initial success of a book, they might recommit to it in a way. They're working with tons of authors and tons of books come out, and like then they see which ones, okay, this one's actually taking on,
let's
or
put
this
more force
this
behind
author like brought a lot to the table and launched it well. Now let's like recommit to it, or you know.
And then there's also hybrid models. There's different companies that will offer that distribution, but allow you to keep more of your royalty. Won't have an advance per se, but will have a lot of the same advantages that a traditional publisher might have.
We have mutual friends that negotiate to keep the audiobook rights. So there's a different way to do it. We're like, okay, let them help me with the hardcover version, and I'll keep the rights to the audiobook.
Audio. Yeah, I mean, I fought for that. I wasn't able to win, but I would have loved to keep the audio rights because as a podcaster, that would have been great. But again, the message is more important to me than the money on this. And I feel like if the message is good enough and if it reaches enough people, it'll come back and many times over. So we'll see what happens. But that's the update for now on the book. USA Today, number 13.
What's your next book? I'm just kidding.
I'm not ready for that. Dude. I'm not ready for that. Honestly, the next book might be an updated version of Superfans. That was written before the SPI community was even a thing. And there's a whole chapter on building community. It was written before Deep Pocket Monster. And this is blown up into
even certain platforms before TikTok,
before Circle. Yeah. I mean, that's true. So I feel like an updated version of that could be great. And I feel like that message continues to be important to build for superfans and the human connection and experience that you offer as a business owner versus just the transactional stuff. Yeah.
Well, awesome.
Thank you, man. Thank you for everybody supporting Lean Learning, and this has been great. And thank you for leading this conversation, Caleb. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast or the YouTube channel if you're watching this on YouTube. We'll do more stuff like this over time. We're talking for the second half of the year about ways to up-level our content and have more fun and get more done for you. So stay tuned, and wishing you all the best. Thank you.
I get it. You want to grow your business, but selling at scale feels overwhelming. You're drowning in complicated funnels, creating different lead magnets, or constantly posting on social media. And that gets exhausting fast, especially when you're trying to sell to hundreds or thousands of people. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? A score app quiz or assessment asks your audience key questions and gives them instant personalized results based on their answers. Your audience gets to know where they are now and shows them the steps they need to hit their goals. You can set up a quiz in minutes using Score App's templates and have a powerful lead magnet that'll do the selling for you. The best part is your audience actually wants to take this quiz, and you build huge amounts of trust before you even make a single offer. No hard sales, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. Just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI. Hey, fellow podcaster, does this sound like something you've experienced? Record your podcast episode on one platform, download the files, edit in another app, then fire up a different tool just to create these social clips. Well, it can be clunky, time-consuming, and frankly overwhelming, especially for creators trying to grow. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Riverside. Riverside is the all-in-one platform. Record, edit, and repurpose your podcast content all in one place. You just log in, record with your guests no matter where you are in the world, and just like that, studio-quality audio and high-resolution video. We use Riverside here at SPI as well now. With built-in AI, I can automatically clean up my audio, saving myself so much editing time, and it can even auto-generate clips to make promoting the show a breeze. And with Magic Clips, I can grab the best moments and repurpose them as short-form video, perfect for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, or Instagram, without re-recording a thing. So if you're tired of juggling tools and want a faster, simpler way to create and scale your content, it's time to try Riverside, built by creators for creators. Just go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART.